The Central African Republic, a small landlocked country in the center of the continent, has long been beset by conflict with dire humanitarian consequences for civilians. The country's citizens are currently trapped in the grips of an unprecedented increase in violence sparked by the contested December 2020 presidential elections. The insecurity caused by the fighting and the fear of attacks have forced many to flee towards larger towns. The violence has also severely impacted the ability of organizations to provide healthcare. To tell us more about the challenges that the Central African Republic is facing, I spoke to the country's top diplomat in South Africa, Ambassador Nzapayeke. Ambassador Nzapayeke, the Central African Republic Ambassador to South Africa, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the program. Welcome to you.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, let's begin with perhaps the most challenging, or one of the most challenging issues that you have in your country. You had elections recently that were marred by violence, and people will say that by and large, you still have quite a significant security situation across the country. What would you say is at the heart of the insecurity that we're seeing?
Yes, we have it has been a while now that we are going through security issues. In the past, in the early first decade of independence, we used to be called the Switzerland of Africa because the country was so calm, so peaceful, and troubles were only in the neighboring countries, as you know them. There were 6 neighboring countries. And bit by bit, then it crossed the border, also through refugees and so on. And we got into this trouble. But we have been in quite relatively peace situation for a long time. Despite some coups and some hit and run attacks, but since 2013, indeed, situation has changed dramatically, completely changed, and we had all those mercenaries came from the western part of Sudan, Darfur, and from Chad also. I'm mentioning it. I don't want to say that they were sent by the government of those countries. Those are mercenaries who were acting without the knowledge of their own government. So they came and invaded the country with a huge, created a really huge disaster in the country, plundering, killing, mass killing. We knew those things for the first time, and really the disaster was huge. But since a lot of efforts has been done, a lot of effort by government, and many, not only by government, by the international community, as you know. In 2013, France was the first to send troops in to calm the situation. And we had also the UN and the African troops from all neighboring countries, and the UN is still there, and things are quite getting under control bit by bit. We signed a peace agreement in 2019, February 2019. In Khartoum, we had those negotiations there in Khartoum. Unfortunately, due to the fact, I think, that we are dealing with foreigners who do not have the same relationship with what we call our national interests, like us, they didn't respect the terms and conditions of the peace conditions, and then when we were about to organize the second general election. We had this huge attack against the capital. In fact, the objective of this attack was to prevent the election to take place. We had, unfortunately, one of our former president, General Bozize, who became leader of this group, just because he was excluded from the list of candidates for the elections, and was not happy, and he joined this group. But since, as you know, we had because in 2013 the state was completely destroyed, our army was completely destroyed, so we didn't have army and defense forces to resist against those things. Fortunately, some friendly countries decided to accept it, to come in and help us, and like Rwanda, like the Russian Federation, and others. And the UN troops were strengthened. So we have been able to kick out those rebels, and now they were occupying, in a very short time, they took over 98% of the country. We had only the capital and some kilometers around left. Today, the government is occupying 95% of the territory. And now the public services are back into the provinces, armies back in the provinces, etc. People are moving from one city to another. The trouble still continues in the corner, in the triangle with CAR, Chad, and Cameroon. So we still have some, that's still the stronghold, and we are trying to deal with that.
All right, Your Excellency, there's still quite a number of armed groups, the CPC, FPRC, MPC. What do these groups want? Is it just to take power? Is it to disrupt? Have they stated their reason for being and why they are armed and causing the insecurity?
I wish I could know what they want. What they want is simple. They have enjoyed, as I said, you take all those groups, the main groups, UPC, then you take the 3R and MPC and so on. The leaders of all those groups are foreigners. UPC, there's a guy from Mali, MPC, is from Chad, 3R is from Northern Cameroon, and they are all from the same tribal group, like the Fulanis. So what they want exactly is only to get a country where they got facilities to get access to diamonds, because almost all over in each river, small stream you have, there is always diamond. It was easy for them, to transform the people in the region, the villages, to use them as diggers and take diamonds from them and plunder what they can plunder, put illegal barriers, checkpoints along the roads, get money from that. That's all what they want, nothing else. Because we have really tried to do our best to make concessions, enough concessions, but still we don't have results.
A UN report that's come out recently has pointed to a number of human rights violations. Yes, these armed groups caused a number of those, I believe more than half of them. But they're also saying that your forces in taking back territory was also responsible for some human rights violations, including things like extrajudicial killings. What are your thoughts on that? What's your response?
First of all, this report is maybe there are things going on, but that particular report you're talking about, I will say that it was not seriously done, because it's not a UN report. It's a report done by some journalists. I love journalists, as you know, but sometimes they write certain things without really having the time, taking time to check properly, if it's true or not. They came in and presented this report, and the UN, some countries took those reports and went with it to the Security Council. So, and so far, government has asked, we put in place a commission of inquiry. They went on the ground. It was clear, we have evidence that those journalists were paying, giving money to some people in the regions that, hey, if you say this and that against our allied forces, the Rwandese and the Russians, and against the national forces, we will give you money. And those people has really reported, said it clearly, even to the international media, to the French radio, etc. So we have evidences that there was something behind this report. But as we say in French, si on veut noyer son chien, on l'accuse de rage. I mean, you want to kill your dog, you show that it.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
All right. So the insecurity in the country is actually causing a humanitarian crisis for your peoples, because aid is finding it difficult to arrive in certain parts of the country. How soon do you think you'll be able to manage this? Because there are a few million people right now who are under threat of hunger if this situation isn't resolved.
Yeah, let's say the situation is true. Unfortunately, we have this situation that in areas where conflicts are still going on, there are serious issues. People are still running, going to internally displaced people's camps and so on. But that solution has really been tackled seriously since in the past years. You can see that the number of camps, displaced people's camps, has reduced drastically. We still have some, maybe throughout the country, about 10 of those camps with very few people. But we are really doing our best. You see, even in Bangui, we had a lot of camps of people came from the rural areas, etc. But all those camps have disappeared today. And the solution is simple. I mean, we have two possibilities: the military actions and the political actions. And government has chosen to use those two. You cannot just sit and leave just rebels come and overthrow a legitimate government, So we are doing our effort to kick them out, to crush them militarily. But at the same time, we know also that there are some frustrations in the country. A lot of things has happened in the past. You know, we had some dictators there, issues of governance, and a lot of problems in the country. Yeah? And the development is is an issue. People do not have health centers, schools in the rural areas. So there is a legitimate frustration. And government has decided to go into dialogue, constant dialogue with. That is why we had this peace agreement signed in February 2019. And then we are still continuing with this dialogue. Soon we will have what President called the Republican dialogue. It means really a dialogue with those who are committed to peace, and also those who was committed to respect our constitutions. That is very, very important. So soon this will take place. I mean, the organizational structure is in place, and I think it will start soon. And I would like also to commend the neighboring countries who have been very, very active in playing a mediation role. Recently, as you know, even the president of Angola traveled purposely to go and defend CAR at the Security Council in New York. And every meeting of the Central Africa Economic Region, community, sorry, they always talk about CAR. They are always ready to put the issue of CAR forward, and also the Great Lake Commissions. They are also always discussing this issue with CAR, because they know that CAR is the geographic position of CAR is very, very strategic. I don't need to remind you that it is also we are the northern border of SADC.
Yes.
So
yes.
The effort
so you have
to protect SADC.
So you have a number of friends assisting you. I see that Rwanda has sent 750 more troops to your country last month. Is the Russian Federation also assisting? And I'm asking because I'm wondering if your country is building up its own capacity in the meantime, because these forces can't be there forever.
That is true. I mean, you know, the Russian Federation came in originally to train our people, to build the capacity of the army, our defense capacity, our intelligence capacity, because this is something very important that we lack. So they came there for that. Yeah? Just as also before other countries, including South Africa, came in to train also our people. But it takes years, because an army, it reflects the nation. You know, it reflects how the nation is. And it is not easy to rebuild an army in just 1 or 2 terms of presidency. So, and as you know, every 10 years, our army has been destroyed by this rebellion and by other type of things, and mismanagement, also ethnic issues coming into the army, politics. So, but this government is really doing its best to put in place a Republican army.
Is there a free democratic space in your country for people to be able to express yourselves. I'm asking because I see that a former presidential candidate, Abdul Karim Mekassour, fled the country recently after he was removed from the National Assembly. Why would that be happening? Why would members in your parliament be fleeing the country?
Yeah, I know this issue quite well. I don't know why he left the country. I think it was his own decision to do so. He was asked by the court to appear at the court for some issues and linked to his supposed connections with some rebel groups. And then he made the choice not to go to the court, but to leave the country. Okay. He was not chased by police or whatever.
Yes, right. So you're saying essentially he's a fugitive from the law. All right, I'm a bit mindful of time, so let me move on to another area. Your country is going through a tough time economically. The economy has shrunk for the fifth year in a row now, according to reports. Has President Touadera put out an indication of how you're going to recover, especially after COVID-19, which probably was another affecting factor, but it has been an economy that's been challenged for some time, even before that?
Yes, that is, COVID-19 is indeed a big challenge, even though the scope of it in the country itself is still limited, but the global effect of it in the neighboring countries, because we are a landlocked country, we depend on import and export through other countries, and and our industry has been destroyed through so many revolts since decades, and we need to rebuild all this. So even for our survival, we need really to depend on other countries, and all countries in the world today are affected by this COVID, also going through difficult economic situations. We are constantly in discussion with the IMF, as you know, to see the type of assistance we can get, not only financial, but also technical, because we have put in place many reforms, like our fiscal reform, to be able to mobilize more resources for the country, and about 10 reforms are going on. We have changed our mining code recently. We have a new one, and we count a lot on the development of our mining sector, also to get to strengthen our capacity to rebuild our infrastructure and so on. But bit by bit, we are trying to raise our head.
Your Excellency, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Ambassador Andre Nzapayeke, the Central African Republic Ambassador to South Africa. Thank you so much for your time, and we wish you and your people the best for a peaceful and sustainable future.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.